Wes Anderson is a filmmaker with a very special vision. His movies look different from anyone else's, and honestly, when you watch one, you immediately know it is his work. He uses bright, specific colors that fill the screen, and the camera often moves in straight lines either side to side or up and down. Everything in the frame is placed perfectly, creating a sense of order and symmetry. This careful design makes his movie worlds feel like detailed storybooks brought to life. He builds these unique universes with a toolkit of signature techniques, and, one of the most important tools he uses is the miniature model. This distinct visual language is not just for show, it serves a deeper purpose in his storytelling. The perfectly centered shots and deliberate camera movements guide our eyes exactly where he wants them to go. This control allows him to highlight small details and character emotions with great precision. His style creates a feeling that is both playful and a little bit sad. It's a world that is clearly constructed, reminding us that we are watching a story. This artificiality, this carefully built reality, is where the magic truly begins to take shape, inviting us into a space that is unlike our own, yet feels emotionally resonant. Anderson's films are often described as dioramas or dollhouses, and honestly, this comparison is very accurate. Think of a shoebox you might have decorated as a child to create a tiny scene. Anderson does something similar, but on a much grander and more professional scale. Each shot is a carefully composed picture, with characters and objects arranged just so. This dollhouse effect makes us feel like we are peeking into a secret, self-contained world. It is a world governed by its own rules of physics and design, where every texture, every prop, and every color has been chosen with immense care to contribute to the overall feeling of the film. The consistency of this style across all his movies, from Rushmore to The French Dispatch, has made him one of the most recognizable directors of his generation. He is an auteur, a director who has complete creative control and whose personal artistic vision is evident in every frame. This control extends to every element of production, but it is most obvious in his world building. Instead of relying on digital effects to create his settings, he often chooses to build them by hand. This preference for practical, handmade effects is most wonderfully expressed through his extensive and imaginative use of miniatures, which are central to his filmmaking identity. So, what exactly are miniatures? In filmmaking, miniatures are small-scale models of larger objects or places. These can be models of buildings, vehicles like trains and submarines, or even entire landscapes. Wes Anderson loves using these models instead of computer-generated imagery or CGI. He prefers things that are real and physical. He likes effects that you can touch and feel. For him, a handmade model has a certain charm and texture that a computer graphic simply cannot replicate. This choice is a fundamental part of his artistic philosophy, favoring the tangible over the digital in a world increasingly dominated by virtual creations. The primary reason Anderson leans on miniatures is for the unique aesthetic they provide. A computer can create a perfect, flawless image, but Anderson is not interested in that kind of perfection. He is drawn to the slight imperfections and the handcrafted quality of a physical model. You can see the paint, the wood, and the tiny details that a person carefully put there. This tangibility makes the world of the film feel more real, in a strange way. It feels like a world that was physically built, not just imagined inside a computer, which adds a layer of warmth and personality to his fantastical settings. Furthermore, using miniatures gives the director an incredible amount of control over the look of his film. With a physical model, he can light it exactly how he wants. He can move the camera around it in very specific ways to get the perfect shot. This hands-on approach allows for a level of artistic precision that is central to his work. It's like being a painter with a canvas, but his canvas is a three-dimensional miniature world. This control ensures that every visual element aligns perfectly with his overall vision, creating a cohesive and immersive experience for the audience. Ultimately, miniatures help create a sense of nostalgia and wonder. They remind us of older movies, from a time before digital effects became common. This connection to classic cinema gives his films a timeless quality. It also taps into a childlike sense of play, making us feel like we are watching an elaborate and magical toy set come to life. The models are not meant to fool us into thinking they are completely real. Instead, they are meant to charm us with their artistry and ingenuity. They invite us to appreciate the craft and creativity that went into building these tiny, enchanting worlds. The process of creating and filming miniatures for a Wes Anderson movie is a work of art in itself. It begins with a detailed design phase. Anderson and his production designer will sketch out exactly what the model needs to look like. They decide on the size, the colors, the materials, and all the tiny details that will bring it to life. These designs are incredibly specific, often resembling architectural blueprints. The goal is to build a model that not only looks beautiful on its own, but also fits perfectly within the visual style of the rest of the film, ensuring a seamless blend between the miniature and full-scale worlds. Once the design is approved, a team of skilled artisans and model makers gets to work. These craftsmen are experts in building things on a small scale. They use a variety of materials, including wood, plastic, metal, and fabric, to construct the models with painstaking precision. Every little window, every tiny brick, and every miniature piece of furniture is carefully crafted by hand. This process can take weeks or even months, depending on the complexity of the model. The level of detail is astonishing, as these artisans work to create something that will look convincing and full of character when it is filmed. Filming the miniatures is another highly specialized process. The model is set up in a studio and lit carefully to match the lighting of the live-action scenes. The crew uses special lenses and camera movements to make the small models appear large and majestic on screen. Often, they use a technique called forced perspective, which plays with our sense of scale to make the model look like it is part of a full-sized environment. The camera might move slowly across the model, creating a grand sweeping shot that would be very expensive or impossible to achieve with a real building. This combination of meticulous construction and clever cinematography is what makes the miniatures in Anderson's films so effective. For example, in his stop-motion films like Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs, the entire world is built in miniature. Every character is a puppet, and every set is a small-scale model. This allows for total control over the film's universe. The result is a world that feels completely cohesive and uniquely Anderson's. The handmade quality of the puppets and sets gives these films a special tactile charm that is beloved by audiences and is central to their storytelling soul. A perfect example of Wes Anderson's miniature magic is the Grand Budapest Hotel. The beautiful pink hotel itself, perched on a mountaintop, was not a real building. It was a stunningly detailed 9-foot-tall miniature. The model allowed Anderson to create breathtaking exterior shots of the hotel that would have been impossible otherwise. We see the hotel in different seasons and from different angles, all thanks to this incredible model. The funicular railway that travels up the mountain was also a miniature. These models give the film its fairy tale quality, creating a setting that feels both historic and dreamlike, a place outside of time. Another fantastic showcase is his stop-motion animated film, Fantastic Mr. Fox. In this movie, everything you see on screen is a miniature. The characters are handmade puppets with real fur, and their underground homes are intricate, dollhouse-like sets. The film's creators built entire forests, farms, and cider cellars in miniature. This commitment to practical effects gives the film a unique, textured feel. You can almost feel the texture of the puppets' fur and the grain of the wood in their homes. The slight imperfections in the animation, the sense that it was all done by hand, add to its immense charm and warmth. In The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, Anderson uses miniatures to create a whole world of fantastical sea creatures. Instead of using CGI, he had the bizarre and colorful fish and crabs made as stop-motion puppets. When the submarine, the Belafonte, is shown in a cross-section, we see the entire ship as a giant set, with the characters walking through its different rooms. But for the exterior shots of the submarine moving through the water, a miniature model was used. This mix of full-scale sets and small-scale models creates a playful and inventive visual style that perfectly matches the film's quirky tone. By choosing to build his worlds by hand, Wes Anderson makes his films feel special. The use of miniatures adds a layer of realism and artistry that digital effects often lack. It makes the fantastical settings feel grounded and believable because they physically existed in a studio. This technique is not about fooling the audience. It is about inviting them to appreciate the craft and creativity on display. The miniatures are a key ingredient in his unique recipe for filmmaking, turning each movie into a magical, tangible world that you can almost reach out and touch, leaving a lasting impression of wonder.